And we'll start with, sorry about that. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thanks for coming out on a rainy night. It's nasty out there, but on the other hand, we certainly need the rain.
Yes.
So, all right, so at this point, I'm going to go to point number 2 on the agenda, public comments. We'll limit it to 5 minutes per citizen. Now, this would be the section not referring to the public hearing comments. So as you can see up there, we have a public hearing, point A and point B. So if you're here to talk about that, this is not your time to go up there. So if there's something else someone would like to talk about, please approach the podium and state your name and address. Okay?
Or Kevin, you could wait until your item comes up if you'd like.
Yeah, so if you want to talk about the public hearing part, the conditional use permit or the,
You want number 3, right?
okay. 4.
Oh, 4A.
Yeah, yes,
Sorry.
yes.
4A.
Okay, so we're not seeing anyone for public comments other than the public hearing. We'll go ahead and close that. Approval of the Planning Commission meeting minutes for May 15th. Everyone had a chance to just take a good look at those. Anything missing? Anything we need to change? Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve. I can second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Okay, now we come to the part that's called the public hearing, and this is where you guys have a chance to talk. And we'll start out with the 4.A, which is a conditional use permit request by Birch Properties LLC, property owner, and Kevin Lagos, I believe that's right, okay, to allow the public billiard parlor and pool room on the property located at 1635 North Franklin Street, tax parcel 466-A-20C, parcel ID 013214, zone general business district B3. The property is designated as business/commercial on the Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. So, Andrew, would you kick us off on this and just give us an overview of?
Absolutely. So what you have before you this evening is a conditional use permit for billiards or a pool room. And a little bit of history about this conditional use permit. You all may remember a code change that happened about, it hasn't been too long ago, where there is a section of the code that states that you cannot have pool tables in the same room that you serve wine or beer. That section was changed to allow for alcohol could be served in the same room that you have pool tables or billiards if you receive a conditional use permit. So you all may recall a similar petition to this up on North Franklin across from Corning.
Exactly.
And then this would be the second one that is applied for that. Mr. Lagos may be able to provide a little bit more detail of how it will function, but I did want to give you a little bit of background. This is Zone B3. The restaurant is located within the shopping center, along with the Restore and Lifeline Church, Napa Auto Parts, in front of the McDonald's and Sam's Hot Dogs, and so it is an existing business, and it would basically, the conditional use permit, if approved, would only be for pool tables for that particular location in the shopping center. Although, as with the conditional use permit, it does run with the land, so that is why we actually it would be tagged to the parcel and so the property owner has to sign off on the conditional use permit, and then it does become associated with that parcel, even though it really is intended just for that particular area of land.
So another, the Moose Lodge.
Mhm.
So that's are they still going in?
So they are, and they did receive, similar to how they received a club conditional use permit.
But if
Uh,
they wanted to do pool tables, could they then do pool tables because this is associated with the property? Am I
So
understanding that right?
it would be limited to the proposal that Mr. Lagos had, and staff would interpret it for that particular area. Yes, correct. Correct. Yes. And similarly, if Moose Lodge wanted to relocate within that area, that would be, I believe that would probably be a revision of the conditional use permit, but that would probably be a question for another day. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just,
Very good.
so I was clear. Thank you.
Okay, anyone here to speak on the conditional use permit? Please approach the podium, state your name and your address.
Hey, my name is Cameron Rita Lagos, and my address is at, my restaurant is located at 1635 North Franklin Street. Well, the plan is to create more revenue for my restaurant. Right now, I'm barely surviving with just the food sales and alcohol sales. So hoping that pool tables will like boost the finances up at my restaurant. I got a very open wide space in the back where I could put maximum 4 pool tables, and it still have enough room to get to the dining areas. And as you can see, I got 2 dining areas where 2 separate rooms. The pool tables will be all the way in the back, bar areas in the front. With all that, I still wanted to go through with the permit and see if I was able to get more revenue for my restaurant. Pool table is something like that's not very, people have to drive all the way to Blacksburg to go get access to pool tables, and the Moose Lodge does have pool tables. I am a member with Moose Lodge now, and I know that they're private. That's the thing that separates the difference between us and them, that we're gonna be open to the public. Yeah, that's it. That's all I'd say.
If you would be able to stick around for a little while, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this point, and then we'll go into a discussion point, and we may have additional questions.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, anyone wishing to speak on 4A? Okay, seeing no one, go ahead and close that and open up the public hearing 4B. Rezoning request for Summit Community Bank, Inc., property owner to rezone property located at 100 Acres Farm Road, tax parcel 466-22-1, parcel ID 100283, with limited business district B1 to general business district B3. The property is designated as business and commercial use on the Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. So, Andy, give us a quick overview.
Yes. So the Summit Ridge, Summit Bank got developed about 2 years ago. Here, open the doors. Wow. Yeah. So a new construction on a once vacant property on the Acres Farm subdivision that really developed. Many years ago, mostly for medical offices. Banks were allowed as part of the B1 district. There were some restrictions, some proffers that were made by the developers at that time to restrict it to banks, to offices, to medical offices. And so once the bank did develop there, 2 things came up, and it really were surrounding the sign that they would like to put up. One was that there was kind of a bit of a irregular parcel configuration along the front at Acres Farm Road, and Summit Bank successfully came in and had council vacate portion of that so that once they put a sign up, they could put it closer to the street and wouldn't have to put it so far away. Because we do require a 10-foot setback already, and then there's also, I think, a 15-foot easement already in this area. So, so they went ahead and actually there was some right-of-way that was vacated that became part of their parcel. The other item that came up was that the sign that they wanted to put up was about 25 square feet greater than what was allowed under the B1 district. So they had petitioned. Now they are petitioning to rezone this to B3, and the uses right now would allow any uses in B3. Obviously, it's developed as a bank, and I don't see that changing too soon. But I did want to point that out. And this is it is across the street from B3. And let me go to the zoning map. So across North Franklin is zone B3, and you may recall a couple years ago, Trinity Church did ask for a similar rezoning, so that they were actually zoned agricultural at the time, and you could see a little bit of the agricultural still zoned there to the back there, but their parcel was actually zoned agricultural, which is even more restrictive for signage. So they petitioned to have it rezoned to B3, and I think at that time it was seen that, well, this is on the North Franklin Street corridor, so that may be an appropriate rezoning. And so that is a similar petition as what's before you today.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks. Okay, anyone here wishing to address the Planning Commission? Please state your name and your address.
My name is Tony Harris. I'm a vice president of Summit Community Bank, and we, like he said, we built this a couple years ago. And he went through all the stuff, so I won't bore you with that. But it's been a process to get the land acquisition and the deeds changed and the modifications to it to this point. When we built it, we pre-wired all of our wiring. There's 2 leads of 10-2 wiring that go under our driveway and are posted up in the middle where we wanted to put this, which was at the corner of our parking area. We knew this was going to be an issue somewhere down the road, but we went ahead and got prepared for it. It appears that we're probably going to go with just a backlit sign. I know you're all familiar with time temperatures and the monitors. I don't think it really, I don't know that it even matters with this, but we're probably just going to go with a lit sign. It's gotten so expensive to keep those things maintained, updated. The electronics are so sensitive in them. In about 5 years, you'll spend another $10,000 getting the replacements for them. So we think we're just going to go with just a backlit, nice, neat sign for that area right now. But is there any questions y'all would have for us, I guess? And we're basically doing the R3 for the signing, and I think that's what the church did. They had to redo their zoning just for the signage.
Yeah, so the way it will work is we'll let everyone speak first, and then what we'll do is we'll close the public hearing, and then we'll go into a discussion. So
Okay.
if you can stick around, I'm sure we're going to have a few questions for you.
I think Andrew covered just about everything that I would have covered. So.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, I'll go ahead and close that public hearings and open it up to discussion with the commission. And I guess we'll start with the conditional use permit. Comments, questions for the applicant?
My only question are, what are the hours of your restaurant?
So at the moment, being it's from Mondays to Thursdays from 11 to 10. Fridays and Saturdays, I'm extending the hours to 2, from 12 to 2. On Sundays, closing at 9.
I mean, based on what I know about that area, I think your point is exceptionally valid as far as like places for folks to hang out and play pool. I know lots of folks in the community are just saying, what can I do in Christiansburg on a Thursday or Friday or Saturday night so I don't have to drive to Blacksburg? I see this as a win for your business and as a win for the community. With the changes that we've had in CDPs and knowing that if for some reason there's concern, it can be reviewed, I have no concerns. I think it's a positive decision for everyone.
And it keeps the business in Christiansburg, not sending it all the way to Blacksburg, so definitely agree with that.
Tax numbers, multi-school systems.
Exactly.
I just have a couple questions and comments. I know your restaurant, I eat there quite often, and you're exactly right. The whole back area is wide open, and you have plenty of tables up front, plenty of dining tables, so I think it's an excellent opportunity to put pool tables back there. Given that, the last time we talked about this, with a ABC license on the premises, you're allowed to have the pool tables, but you're limited to gambling and betting. So this is purely entertainment. There won't be tournaments or it's just open to the public just to play pool. Okay? All right.
I have no concerns. I think it's a great idea.
Mhm.
Can we make a motion on this this evening?
If you guys are ready to make a motion, I will accept.
I would make a motion to approve the conditional use permit as noted in the agenda.
I can second that.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Congratulations. I'll be playing pool there.
You're probably right. And when does this go to town council?
So this would be scheduled for town council on July 11th.
Okay.
July.
Good. You want to be there for that too? Okay.
Would I get email through it for it? Just that movement?
Yes, we can make sure that, yeah, you get that information. Sure.
Okay, great.
Good luck.
All right, moving on to discussion period for public hearing 4B. We still have the applicant here, so commissioners, questions?
No.
I have one. What was the original rationale for the proffer? It clearly states signs included, so I'm just curious as to why the original proffer called out parking signs and utilities will be in accordance with B1 zoning and other applicable town of Christiansburg regulations. So I feel like there's probably some conversation that happened as to why they felt the need to put that in as a proffer.
You see that, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, behind the rationale of it.
Could it have been because it was generally, that was developed for office, medical offices, right? And where maybe that was something that the town said, hey, this is something we would like to see. We want, the
Right.
lesser signage or something of that nature could have been, in my mind.
Yeah,
That's kind of.
because it is, if it was zone B1 at the time, it would be a little repetitive to say that it had to meet the requirements of the B1 zoning district. So,
All right.
and to be honest, I think with staff, we were mainly looking at the proffer number 1. But yes, I'm not sure exactly why that was repeated, because again, if it was zone B1, they would have to follow all of the B1, zoning district standards. And the sign ordinance at that time was not located in the zoning ordinance, but it did reference different zoning districts. We've since moved that. It was in a separate part of the code. We've moved that in to the zoning ordinance. Other than that, I'm not really sure why it would be called out separately.
And the reason why I ask is because when folks have come before with CUPs, right, like we can't ask, but people have offered up proffers
Right.
with the intent that those are honored in the future. And so we have made decisions on CUPs with proffers with the intent of honoring those proffers in the future. And we put a lot of weight in those. So I'm just curious how much weight should be put in this proffer as we are thinking through rezoning to a B3 just for this property. I mean, it makes sense given this specific situation, but when you do that, what does that mean for the future for it to be B3 for another business that would go in there?
I think I'm okay with it, holding up to the accordance of B1 zoning, with the caveat being the properties that would go in there would be banks, office, business, professional, dental, daycare. So I think that signage and parking
Yeah.
for those particular businesses would fall pretty close in line with what B1 would be.
And I would want to clarify, just moving forward, if this is recommended and then approved by town council for rezoning to B3, and there are no new proffers that are put forward, then for this parcel, it would not have any proffers. These two proffers would not be there. Now, they would remain for every other parcel along Acres Farm Road. And that was part of the 2002 subdivision.
Sure.
Please do.
Over the years, it took us, a year to buy, when we had to buy a piece of property, you have to have extra entrance into Elk Road, so this has been an ongoing process, so I've talked to several people. The property was originally owned by Dr. Hoff, that we bought, that owned the property that we bought, which was on the main street there. Other properties in there were developed by Amy Hunter and Ben Harris. Both of those I've had conversations with, and they were happy that we were actually coming in there. The other property again was owned by the Beecher family, Janet Beecher or whatever, but I think she said sold, didn't she?
She-
Somebody.
Correct.
All those people I've dealt with, and, none of them had any problems with us being there or building the sign or any of that kind of thing. Now, that being said, there's nothing in writing. They were just happy that somebody bought it, developed the front, so it didn't look like it was vacant behind it. So I just thought I'd share that part with you guys. I don't think anybody really cares at this point. What they didn't want was somebody, and since we've already built, somebody coming in there and building something they didn't.
Got
They
it.
wanted to have a little bit of control at that point in time. But since the only property that's available vacant is the very end of the cul-de-sac down there to be built on, pretty sure that nobody, they know we built a nice, modern.
Yeah, it looks nice.
And what's the thought as far as, I guess, what are the concerns with staying within the current regulations? So the difference in signage, what prompted you all to do the rezoning instead of looking to see if you could put up a sign within the current regulations?
The square footage. The square footage of the sign is so much smaller. And these signs are, the first sign we looked at digital was $92,000. So if you're gonna spend that kind of money, and this one is gonna cost us about $45,000 to put it back. So if you're gonna spend $45,000, you want to get the most bang for your buck. And it is really, like you said, 25 square feet. I think the difference in this is the length was extended to 120 feet instead of 80 feet. On the actual signage part, it goes, it's like 60 by 120 instead of 65. I'm doing that on my head, but it's something like that. So it just gives us more stretch out to stretch, Summit name and our slogan.
No, I'm not familiar with Summit Community Bank. Is this a standalone bank or are there other Summit Community Banks?
No, Summit Community Bank is a fairly large bank.
Okay.
I've been in banking 41 years now, and I was with First National Bank of Christiansburg. That's where I started back in 1982. So I've been with them, and I went to Stella One, the Union, left Union, and went to a small bank called First Century out of Bluefield, West Virginia, which was an independent bank that was only had, in 125 years, it only had 6 presidents. They merged with Summit. I thought that was my out to retire. Summit's just been great. The people who run Summit are very down to earth. There's 3 main guys in it, and they don't try to trip over each other to make decisions. They honor each other's decisions. Our loan committee meetings are really good. It's just one of those things, I'm at the age now where I could retire, but they're so good to me in the way they treat their customers, a lot different. If you ever come into our bank, our branch manager's gonna greet you at the door. I know that we're new, but we're $5.4 billion. To give you a relative, National Bank of Blacksburg about 1 million. So we're 5 times bigger than National Bank of Blacksburg, but our headquarters is in Moorefield, West Virginia, which is the middle of nowhere, comparable to Reiner. They built a 4 or 5-story building just like this, right beside of the brick building. That's our corporate headquarters. So we've stayed there. So they have more of the home roots mentality. Across the street is local high school from our branch. That it sticks out like a sore thumb. It looks like somebody dropped this thing in there in a little small community.
So it's a two-part question, and the reason I asked that was, at the other bank locations, do you have a standard sign that you use?
This is sort of the standard sign that we use. A lot of them were mechanical or had digital in them, but we're kind of, when we got the price in this, a digital sign we used to be able to buy for $50. So we never budgeted for this almost $100,000. And with all the signage now, they're having a lot of issues with the mechanical part of them, and people are having to go in there and spend so much money to upkeep them. And how much benefit is from. When you're going by there, you're going 35 miles an hour. If we were right at a stoplight, it might be beneficial where somebody's sitting there and can read it. But at our location, being, 100 yards from the stoplight, I kind of argue the point is just not going to be anybody. And nobody uses common temperature, they use all that kind of stuff anymore.
Or their cars tell them.
So all we need is really a visibility. I don't know if you've driven by our branch at night, but it's very lit up. And it's backlit, and that was part of the design feature. But there's so many people that come in there and they drive around and say, we couldn't find it. They were looking for the monument sign, the traditional signage. It's like McDonald's. I guess you'd pass by it if you didn't see the McDonald's sign. Banks are initiated sort of like that, and I would have never in a million years, because we were just going to scrub it. But so many people have not been able to find this and driven around in circles. If they've come here from West Virginia and wanted to stop in where we have a lot of branches. So we didn't really know if it was that necessary, so we've tried it for 2 years, and it's been shocking. People associate looking for a bank and finding that sign.
It makes sense, and I guess where I'm going to it is, I hate to create a sign war to the extent that, well, they're in B1 and they can only have it this big, but we've rezoned and we can have a bigger sign than the bank down the street. And, we mentioned price too. I'm sure that there's a price difference between the 50 square foot one and the 75 square foot one.
Not that much.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Okay.
It's really not.
So, and now let's look to you, Andrew. Is there any precedence that's set in the town on signage for banks, or are we just limited to our signing ordinance and the fact that if you're in this zone, you can do this, in this zone, you can do that?
It is mainly, right, it is mainly for, if you're in a certain district, that's what controls the sign regulations, and most of our, B3 area is along, Roanoke Street, North Franklin, portions of Main Street, some on Radford. So on Peppers Ferry Road. So our main, so B3 is typically found on those larger corridors that typically have 35 miles per hour. And so and they do have, typically more signage allowed in that area.
And I guess the other good thing is this sign is, I think, 16 feet tall, something like that.
I think
That's about it.
I think that
Yeah. I think
around
there's,
17.
yeah.
Okay, which, we were just talking previously, it could be 35 feet.
Mhm.
That's what's regulation.
So, let's take a win here with 16 feet, and
Well, I don't have a concern with the sign. My question is just by turning the whole parcel B3, like what can go there? Why were there properties put in the first place right next to R1 to keep it B1 limited? I mean, that's my.
To me, I don't know, it might be because they just wanted to keep the small town feel to Christiansburg, to their section of Christiansburg at that time. That's the only thing I could think of.
But I think they want to keep it professional.
Right.
I don't think they want to take the money.
Right.
Yeah,
Or Carl.
What can go there in a B3?
So, I mean, right, so most retail, uses, it could be, storage facilities, it could be, restaurants, as were mentioned, by right, yeah. And so there are some higher intensity uses than the uses that were proffered. So the uses that are laid out here are typically lower intensity, considered more lower intensity office uses than, say, potentially a lumber yard or something, contractor storage yard, that would be by conditional use permit, an auto garage, a gas station, those types of things would be allowed in B3.
Any other questions? Do we feel comfortable to take a vote tonight? Okay. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve item 4B as written.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I want you to sign,
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on to,
July 11th, too, for,
Correct.
is that time?
Right. So the town council July 11th.
We're trying to keep it right under a year.
and you guys are welcome to stick around, but we're just going to go into other business right now. So you're welcome to.
Thank you.
Both of you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah.
Okay, other business. One of our commissioners is leaving us.
Yes, can I get a motion to deny the movement of it? No, I just want to say, Jess, thank you so much. I was,
Yes.
I think I was in the planning department when you came on, and it's been wonderful having you here, and been a great voice of reason, and we'll miss you.
And how many years?
5.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's, I tell you, it's one thing, but, I mean, when you get on the planning commission, you tend to stick on it.
Well,
Right.
and you all will be happy to know, so some folks might know I'm in the higher education PhD program at Virginia Tech, and I've decided on my dissertation topic, which is going to look at the impact of colleges and universities to small towns, thinking about like real estate and services that are offered. And so I've been working with my chair to kind of determine, are we using qualitative or quantitative? It's probably going to be a mix of both, and so I might be coming back to some of the local planning commissions to kind of talk a little bit about experiences to include those in the dissertation process.
And you're
That's
welcome
great.
anytime.
That's great.
Staff, any updates for us?
No, I will just remind the commission that we are looking at having a meeting in July on the comprehensive plan. If there are no items on July 3rd, we would typically cancel that meeting.
Right.
And that being the eve of a holiday, that may be good for folks' schedules. But that would push that meeting back for the comprehensive plan further into July, probably before the next meeting on the 17th.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So if anybody, I just wanted to throw that out there to see if there was any reaction to that.
I would not be available to meet on July 3rd anyway.
Okay,
If we did
okay.
have items on the agenda, I would be missing that meeting.
Okay.
Um,
We do not at this time.
but you said that it would be July 17th
Yes,
as the next planning commission, and then do the subcommittee before that?
correct.
I can do that.
And we are expecting an item to be, to have a public hearing that evening.
Very good. Anything else? Okay, well, I'll Thank you.
It's a good 1-2 punch.